Now, awesome! All right, normally it takes a couple of seconds for people to kind of gather in, so don't mind that too much. And we'll just go ahead and dive right in. So, hi guys, and welcome to Housing or Busts. And it is hosted by a great team here in Curry County by Oasis Advocacy and Shelter. It is our first podcast, and it's held here in the beautiful state of Oregon. In the first episode is really just a chance to kind of get to know your hosts and find out what our goals are. We look forward to seeing what everyone has to say or contribute to our podcast, whether it's just chatting with us, educating yourself on what exactly plagues our housing situation right now, or just being here to share your story. We're here to help. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dig right in. So, today we have Amber, who is unfortunately not here today, which is okay. And we're going to have Mona go ahead and read her introduction, and then you'll get to meet her another time.
Morning. Amber Shackelford. I'm the co-located advocate at Oasis Advocacy and Shelter. I primarily work with DHS and child welfare. I am also the office assistant as well. Fun fact about myself is I am a single mom of 4 kids and a survivor myself. I love my job because I'm making a difference in my county by educating people about domestic violence. People need to know I'm here and I will listen.
Next, we have Jen, who is also a member of our team. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Genevieve. Most people just call me Jen. I'm the Outreach and Volunteer Coordinator and Social Media Person at Oasis Advocacy and Shelter. A fun fact about me is that I am an enrolled member of the Creek Tribe of Northern California. I love music and use it as my outlet for everything. I love my job because I am able to help people in their worst moments, whether it's just making an introduction or helping them take their next steps in their journey.
And then Mona will actually introduce herself now.
My name is Ramona. I'm the Resiliency and Housing Coordinator for Oasis. My job is to help people with learning resiliency in the face of trauma and walking with them through their journey. I love gardening, football, and would like to save the planet. I've only been here for 4 days and I already love the job.
So, without any other introduction aside from Amber left and Mary Pat, we have me. So, hey, hi, and howdy. I'm Haley Wild. I am the crisis response advocate here at Oasis. I work with survivors with them on their journey to healing from domestic violence. I am obsessed with the color emerald green, even though I'm not wearing any right now, and I love my job. Oh, we just got a follower. Oh, it's hidden. We'll fix it. So, quick shout out to as Hasma88. I'm assuming that's Amber, our co-located advocate who's tuning in. So, hi Amber, it's nice to see you.
Good morning.
And to finish out what I was saying is the biggest thing I'd like to do is make a big difference in my community right now. That is my biggest goal. With that, let's go ahead and introduce Amber Jordan.
Hello, I am Amber Jordan, also known on the team as Jordan. I am the court advocate here in Curry County. I help community members navigate the court system with protection orders. I facilitate some support groups and help survivors reach resilience through healthy relationships. And I also work to educate Curry County about consent and more. A fun fact about me is that I love learning about the world. I love to study languages and to serve others. I love my job because I love to encourage, support, and empower survivors and the community to live a life of their dreams and whatever that looks like for them. Thank you.
All right, and now we have Mary Pat, who will be introducing herself.
Hello. First, before I introduce myself, I do just want to let you guys know that we do also have another team member who is on medical leave. I do not want to leave her out. Her name is Jean Albee, and she is our shelter advocate. Mm-hmm. So I do just want to recognize that first before I go ahead and proceed. Hello, my name is Mary Pat, and I am the Executive Director here at Oasis Advocacy and Shelter. It's really exciting that we're able to bring this fantastic opportunity to listen to our staff discuss important topics regarding housing and then also intersectionalities of being a survivor and experiencing homelessness. Also with other disparities as well. There is a larger impact on the ability to have sustainable housing. And we will be here discussing a plethora of resources and services that we do have available in Curry County. I do want to first thank you guys, the Oregon Fair Housing Council, for you guys and your support in this series. And a fun fact about myself is I was adopted when I was 2.5 years old. And I also had hearing loss in both ears, and I do use American Sign Language to communicate, and that is why we have interpreters here. And so anytime that I'm on this podcast, I will have interpreters voicing for me. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And a quick thank you to the interpreters that are here today. We really appreciate everything that you're doing. You guys are great. And again, thank you. With that, let's go ahead and just jump right in. The first talking point, that's what we're going to be calling all of our points that we'll cover during our podcast series, is homelessness is the first we'd like to discuss today. With that, we're going to go ahead and turn. We'll unmute here. Goodness gracious, sorry for that technical difficulty. We really do greatly apologize. So with that, again, we're going to turn it over to Jordan and see what she's got to say.
Okay. Would you like to hear the statutory definition or just my opinion?
Let's hear both.
Okay. So my opinion on
Oh, wonderful. We're back again. Goodness gracious. Go ahead and begin again, Jordan.
Thank you. Okay, so what I would call homelessness is not having a place to be or to call home, somewhere that is stable, structured, and provides water, electric, and things that you need for your daily life. However, I feel like that can look different to other people and what they consider to be their home and how they like to live.
Yeah.
So literally there's a category 1 of homeless status definition. and it's called literally homeless. It is defined by the applicable program of the EHA, ERA, HSP, and the SHAP. The definition is 1, the individual or family who lacks a fixed and
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Says that we're being heard. Can you hear us?
Okay, thumbs up. There is an echo though, so if you just unplug the other microphone, that should resolve that.
It's unplugged. Okay, I think I know where the echo's coming from now, so give me a minute.
can Mary turn down her volume on her computer?
It's because the
This is
the
Mary,
owl's
that
too
problem
close.
was already resolved, and I actually don't have my microphone on.
Unplugged it.
If you'll just unplug the other one, it should resolve the problem.
It's unplugged.
I can hear it on on your screen, Mary.
Right, the sound is fine now though.
Good, there you go. Good job, girls, good job.
Navigate. Goodness gracious.
So how long do I have to read?
You can just read the first little
audio
bit.
is still on.
I'm just
Okay,
gonna. That's
hopefully
okay.
there will be no more interruptions, and hopefully we can go ahead and proceed from here. I believe, Jordan, you can go ahead and proceed.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start from the top. Homelessness status defined by the EHA, ERA, HSP, and SHAP, which in this definition it'll be category 1, which is literally homeless. 1, individual or family who lacks a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, meaning I has a primary nighttime residence that is a public or private place not meant for human habitation. I is living in a publicly or privately operated shelter designated to provide temporary living arrangements, including congregate shelters, transitional housing, and hotels, motels, paid for by charitable organizations or by federal, state, and local government programs. Or I is exiting an
Interrupt. Could you define what EHA, ERA is? I'm not familiar with what that is.
No, I cannot, because I do not have the whole definition of, it's like the housing association,
Okay.
yep. And so I is exiting an institution where he or she has resided for 90 days or less, and who resided in an emergency shelter or place not meant for human habitation immediately before entering that institution.
So if I'm to understand this correctly, Jordan, you're telling us that essentially if it isn't a place that is safe for them to sleep at night, it isn't considered a home, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that would be the definition as per the Oregon ORS, and if you want to read that statute number, we had it wrote down. It is 458.5 458.528.
Okay, so Oregon's 458.528 policy on homelessness. One is as used in this section, homelessness means the lack of a decent, safe, stable, and permanent place to live that is fit for human habitation.
Okay. So with that defined, and we all kind of have a basic understanding of what is going on in the conversation, have any of you
This is Mary Pat.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm just wondering, if we were to put somebody in our emergency shelter, which one of those definitions would it fall under? I was just hoping you could help me get a better understanding about that.
Yes, absolutely. So our shelter is an emergency shelter for domestic violence. So that would be a category 4, attempting to flee domestic violence, which is any individual, a family who is fleeing or is attempting to flee domestic violence, has no other residence, and lacks the resources or support networks to obtain other permanent housing. So that would be homelessness according to attempting to flee domestic violence, which is the category 4.
Is there any other questions? I just want to make sure before we move on. Just making sure.
No questions.
Awesome. So with that, have any of you as hosts, we can begin with Mary Pat, been homeless before, whether it was a friend, a family member, or even yourself?
Yes, I have. I have been homeless. I have lived in my car, and that was actually in Alaska. And during that time, it was really difficult. And I was actually fortunate. It was summertime, so there was a lot of sun. And the services out there are very limited. So you really have to have a mental health diagnosis in order to be placed in emergency housing there. So yes, I have been.
All right. Well, that's something new I just learned today about my boss. So we'll go ahead and ask Jen, who is unfortunately off camera. Have you ever experienced homelessness?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Approximately how long were you homeless?
November, December, January, February, March, April. 6 months.
6 months. All right. I experienced homelessness, fortunately, for only a week, but it still was very difficult for me to kind of experience. Mona, have you ever experienced homelessness?
Unfortunately, yes, twice. 6 months this last year, and then in 2007 for almost a year.
I see. Okay, I understand. That had to have been very difficult. Jordan, have you ever experienced homelessness?
I have, yes. I have recently experienced homelessness for 2 years, and I have been housed for 1 year.
Can you kind of elaborate on what was considered homelessness in your eyes at the time? You mentioned something off camera that you were living in an RV, in which in the terms of Oregon, living in an RV or a recreational vehicle does make you considered homeless.
Yeah, so I was residing in a motorhome, which is not considered to be a home because its primary purpose is not meant for daily living.
Oh, so that makes a lot of sense that if it's a motorhome or ARV, if you want to call it that it's not considered to be a permanent home because it can be moved at all times, correct? And because of its daily living restrictions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
And I have something, this is Mary Pat.
Mm-hmm.
I also did just want to throw out there that here in Curry County, there are a lot of RV parkings. There are a lot of different sites, and the reason is because of the housing prices that are going on here. They are astronomical. I would say the average home is priced over $500,000, and that's to purchase a smaller home. 500, 600, 700 square feet. It's not feasible for the financial restrictions that people have around here. And even in working class. And so now you are mentioning the motorhome. So I I live in a motorhome. So under the state of Oregon definition, I have actually been homeless since I moved here to the state. And so do I consider my homeless? No, I don't, because I park at the same spot and I do pay a rent that doesn't hurt every month. And so I do have a place to park. I do have a place to live. But you're right. That is another thing that we do need to consider is what does the area consider as homeless? And so when you talk about the numbers of homeless, and I know that we're going to be bringing that up soon, it is imperative to consider that as part of the discussions as well.
Yes. So that is very important to have been brought up. Thank you very much, Mary Pat. We really do appreciate that contribution. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at chat real fast. It looks like we have Miss Amber, our co-located advocate, mentioning that she has experienced homelessness in Grand Rapids, her hometown, herself and her 4 children, and that her abuser had actually kicked her out, and that she slept from couch to couch at different people's homes at this time due to that experience. So thank you, Amber, for sharing that information. We really do appreciate that, and I just wanted to recognize that with you. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to our third talking point about the numbers of, the amount of homeless people that are in Curry County at this time, as well as Oregon and in the U.S. as well. So at this time, 300 people, as per the Curry Homeless Coalition in 2022, 300 of those people are homeless in Curry County. That is double the amount that was in 2021 alone. In 2021, it was some such number as 165 or 169. Don't quote me on that. I'm a little fuzzy on the number, but it has doubled, and it is very important that we recognize that this is increasing, that with the pandemic, that homelessness is becoming more prominent. And in Oregon, that number actually skyrockets to 14,655 people. That's a very large number, especially in the state of Oregon. And if we look over in the U.S., over 500,000 people are left to fend for themselves without shelter and sometimes without food as well. This is a true crisis that needs to be addressed, and that's one of the reasons why we have this podcast. Does anybody have some additional comments they'd like to add to that?
No.
We're jotting down notes to do this. Go ahead.
We do partner with the Fair Housing, or the Oregon Fair Housing Council.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that because OASIS has applied for new housing funds. And we have also noticed that during the town hall meetings that our team has hosted with an organization called Broken Score Response, BCR, we did see a lot of information and misconceptions and different concerns from the communities. And people seem to have ideas of certain things in terms of transitional housing versus shelters versus actual homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
So many different ideas of what those certain categories actually mean. And when we actually decided to contact the Oregon Fair Housing Council, we had a conversation and we really discussed the importance of disseminating the accurate information and the lack of accurate information that's been shared. And so we have partnered with them on some of our podcasts. And so that's part of the reason why we're actually doing this as well. So I just wanted to put that in from my perspective as an outsider.
Well, we really do appreciate that additional information. It's very important to understand that there are different organizations out there that are supporting those that are in need, and it's important that we have that information. So thank you again, Mary Pat, for adding to that important piece of information. So with that discussion and our comments on it made, we're going to move on to the fourth section of our podcast today, which is we're going to discuss future podcast topics. As we've already clarified, this is housing or bust. So we're going to be talking about a lot about how housing or homelessness is affecting people here in Curry County and in the state of Oregon. And I want to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Mona about our possible topics that we may be covering. So Mona, go ahead and dig right in.
So our future podcast topics, anywhere would like to be discussing the glorification of sexual assault in media and why it is wrong. Courts and homelessness, working with DHS and homelessness, and a bunch more topics. Then there'll be safety planning in your own home for natural disasters, emergency exits, and then finding work while you're homeless. Getting an ID, needing an ID, P.O. box, mailing addresses, and then talk about resources while homelessness, your local shelters and your food banks, and then your support networks, your families, coworkers, friends. Those would be some of the topics we'd like to talk about.
So, with those topics began, does anybody have any comments that they would like to make in regards to our current future topics that we may be covering? For example, I know that recently Oasis Advocacy and Shelter had actually put out a social media post in regards to a Blizzard Entertainment or Activision Blizzard post that was found by PC Gamer of how there was a game called Overwatch 2, and in this they had a game section that was labeled as sexual assault, and it was very inappropriate, and it was something that we thought that was important to put out, that we address that. Jen, would you like to make any sort of comment on that?
I have nothing at this time. I need to do more research before I can approach the topic.
That's totally fair to say. All right, so with that, Jordan, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Would you like me to expand upon the acronyms that I used prior?
Please, that'd be great.
Okay, so EHA that I referenced for the definition of homelessness, the category 1, literally homeless, defined by the EHA is the Emergency Housing Assistance Program. Then there is the Emergency Rental Assistance, which is ERA, the Housing Stabilization Program, or HSP, and then the State Homeless Assistance Program, SHAP.
Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate you going ahead and grabbing all the information, because I know we accidentally blindsided you on that, which was our bad. But we really do appreciate you going forward and searching up those definitions and what the acronyms for them were. And that seems to be all we have on the agenda today. Those were the 7 topics we wanted to cover. Does anybody have any extra comments they would like to make? Mary Pat, we invite you to go ahead and make any extra comments that you may have.
And this is Mary Pat. You know I always have extra comments. Well, I just really want to thank everybody for being here today. I know that this was a different podcast. We were having some auditory issues and really just trying to stay connected. So it's just really important that people are subscribing and clicking that follow button on our various social media sites, so that way you can get more information on future podcasts that we'll be doing, especially since we will be covering very important topics here in Curry County. I do know that some information seems that it's not relevant to yourself, but do remember that you may not even know, but somebody in your family, maybe your friends or someone, your close loved ones, maybe your neighbors, your colleagues, your partners, they may be experiencing homelessness, or maybe even domestic violence or sexual assault. So I do just want to remind all of you guys listening today that we will also be covering a lot of topics related to domestic violence. We will be covering different definitions, and we'll also be planning on having some guest speakers as well, where we will be interviewing some important community partners. So if you yourself are a community partner and you are interested in being spotlit on this podcast, please do reach out to us. We'd be very excited to connect with you. And so that is my vision I have for you.
Thank you very much, Mary Pat. We really appreciate you adding to the conversation with that information. It's very important that we have our community partners be involved with us, and we invite each and every one of us for you to come talk to us, give us a call on the business line, and reach out and see what we can get done and see what we can talk about. So again, thank you very much. I think that's all. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up and say goodbye. So, bye.
Toodles.
Bye-bye.